The old saying goes, you can't choose who you love, but ultimately your actions are a choice. Stephen and Katie Platel were a modern day Romeo and Juliet, except with an extremely bizarre twist. You see, they weren't just these star-crossed lovers whose story ended in tragedy. They were also father and daughter. This is their story. In 1995, Stephen Platel, I believe that's how you say his name. Stephen Platel is 20 years old and he meets a 15-year-old by the name of Alyssa Garcia on the internet. In the late 90s, we was all meeting people down to the internet. The two began dating shortly thereafter and they began spending a lot of their time together on and offline. At 16, Alyssa becomes pregnant by Stephen, and in January of 1998, the couple welcomes a baby girl whom they give the name Denise. Now, according to Alyssa, Stephen was very abusive toward their infant daughter. She alleged that Stephen would pinch Denise until she will form these bruises all over her body for no reason, and then when she would cry, he would place her in this cooler and place the top on it to drown out her crying so he didn't have to hear it. He would prevent Alyssa from freeing the child from the cooler until she got to the point where she was about to suffocate, and then he would allow Alyssa to remove her from the cooler. Over the next 8 months, Stephen grew more angry, more abusive, more violent, and unpredictable. In addition to his abusive behavior, Stephen always had a difficulty holding down a job and bringing in steady income. Alyssa decides that the only way to ensure her daughter's safety and give her a real chance at life would be to put her up for adoption. Stephen, of course, he doesn't fight this. He goes along with it. So little baby Denise is adopted by a nice couple by the name of Anthony and Kelly Fusco. They rename baby Denise Katie and they move her to Dover, which is about 80 miles north of New York City, where she was born and previously living with her birth parents. Now, despite how fucked up Stephen was, Alyssa stays with Stephen and she eventually marries him. One of the main reasons that she decided to stay with him was because Stephen would often manipulate her by telling her that if she ever left him, that he would blow his brains out on camera. And then he would make sure that she got the video. How, sir? How was you gonna do that? Who was gonna mail it out? How was you gonna mail it out? Baby, fucking with me, Stephen would have been toast, because how was you gonna get the video to me, Miss Girl? How? Baby, you wouldn't even be able to hit stop on the record. So how was you gonna then make sure the video got to me? Make it make sense. How were you gonna mail it, Pooh? This is a lot more purpley than I thought it was gonna be, but we here now, so whatever. Now fast forward to 2007, the year I graduated high school. This is 10 years after the couple welcomed their baby girl Denise/Katie and had to give her up for adoption. Alyssa finds herself pregnant again. Now this time around she's a little more optimistic because she's thinking we're older now, we're in a little bit better place financially, we're a little bit more mature and can probably do it right this time. She felt like they were, quote, more grown up and ready to have children at this stage in life. And so the couple welcomes their second child, a baby girl. And 5 years after that, in 2012, the couple welcomes a third daughter. And they're seemingly doing better as parents of these two this time around because of course they're older and a little more mature, but Stephen has a nasty little temper and is very much verbally and physically abusive to Alyssa. Meanwhile, in Dover, the Fuscos are living a seemingly very super normal life. They're raising Katie alongside their own biological daughter. Katie, who is now a teen, she's developed an interest in art. She can really draw. She's known at her high school for drawing the comic strip. She's made plans to attend college after high school to pursue a career in digital advertising. Mama got talent, skills, and a plan. Well aware that she's adopted, Katie is growing more and more interested or curious about her birth parents. She's wondering who they are, what they look like, what parts of herself did she get from them, which I feel like is a natural thing when you're adopted. Everybody, I think, wants to know where they come from. Even if that ain't the case, goddammit, it was the case for Katie, okay? She wanted to know. At 18, she decides to reach out to her biological family to satisfy their curiosity. She tracks down Alyssa, who is now 37. Steven is 42. On social media, and they were both more than happy to hear from her. Like, they were elated to hear from their little baby girl that they gave up 18 years ago. They began corresponding with Katie on the regular. She's getting to know them, they're getting to know her, and everybody is just happy. Her adoptive parents, they were very supportive of her getting to know her biological parents, and it was seemingly just a good situation. In June of 2016, Katie graduates from high school, but since reuniting with her biological family, her post-high school plans, they've changed. Instead of enrolling in college, Katie opts to move to Virginia along with her birth parents and their daughters. Now, when Katie arrives at her biological parents' home, Alyssa pulls her to the side and she has a conversation with her. She tells her that, look, I just want to be open and honest with you. A big part of why we had to give you up for adoption was because he was abusive towards you. She was very open and honest with Katie and told her some of the things that Steven would do to her, but Alyssa found it kind of odd that she didn't appear to be at all fazed or concerned by this information. Something else that Alyssa noted as kind of odd and strange was that her husband's behavior changed drastically as soon as he met Katie. As soon as she got to the house, Steven began dressing different. He started wearing skinny jeans and form-fitted shirts, pretty much just dressing like a teenager. Now, mind you, he's 42 at the time. He ain't got no business stuffing his little balls in some skinny jeans. But here we were. And if you're 42 and you wear skinny jeans, there's no shade to you. I'm so sorry. Yeah. So Kevin is prancing around in his skinny jeans, and he cut off all of his facial hair, like all of it, all of his mustache, all of his beard. He grew his hair out long. I'll insert photos. Homeboy was trying to get in touch with his younger side again. He obviously wanted to appear younger, and Alyssa was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what's the tea? Steven's strange behaviors did not stop there. As if that wasn't strange enough, about 6 weeks after Katie moved into the family home, Steven decides to sleep on the floor of her bedroom one night. Now, this time, he and Alyssa were already sleeping separately. Their marriage was definitely in a rough patch. So she didn't notice, like, right off the bat that he was now sleeping inside of Katie's room on the floor. But it didn't take long for Mama to figure it out. And once she did, she confronted him about it, and he just tells her like it's none of her business. He becomes very irate and angry, and he's yelling. He storms out of the house with Katie, and when they return that night, he retreats to her bedroom again. Steven continues to sleep in Katie's room, and the two begin a sexual relationship. Him and his biological baby girl, okay? Weird. And meanwhile, his marriage to Alyssa begins to deteriorate even more for obvious reasons. Alyssa finally decides that, you know what, enough is enough. She suffered enough of his physical and emotional abuse all of these years. She's gonna get her children and go. She files for divorce from Steven and leaves the house with the couple's two youngest children. Katie, however, wanted to remain in the house with her father. The two formulate a shared custody agreement among the younger two. Now, Alyssa alleges that at this time, she had suspicions about Katie and Steven's relationship, but she had no knowledge that they had taken it to a sexual relationship. She just thought, you know, okay, they're a little weird, but whatever. Months go by. The two are separated, Alyssa and Steven. They are sharing custody of the younger two girls, so their time is split between living with their mother and then the house which Katie and Steven were living in together. In May of 2017, Alyssa is being the kind of parent that I probably would be. She was reading her 11-year-old's diary, and in one of the entries, the 11-year-old speaks of how skinny Katie used to be and how now she's gained so much weight because she's pregnant, and she talks about how her father is telling her to refer to Katie as her stepmom, and she is confused. In the little entry, she like, but that's my sister, I'm confused, like, what's the tea? Shit is weird. And she's 11 rationalizing this, so it's like, Mr. 42-year-old sir, what is your problem. The 11-year-old also spoke about how confused she was by her dad calling her sister baby and questioning whether or not her dad made Katie pregnant. Like, the little girl was hella confused. Now, according to Alyssa, this is when and how she learned her estranged husband was engaging in a sexual relationship with their oldest daughter. She also learned from this entry that little Miss Katie was pregnant. I guess she hadn't seen the little skinny Miss Katie wasn't so skinny no more. She called Steven to confront him about it, and he had the nerve to be very upset. He became irate. He started yelling. He was like, I thought you knew. We're in love. It's none of anybody's business. He hangs up the phone on her, and then she clears that line and calls the police. The local authorities, they interviewed the children, the younger two children, and they pretty much tell them the truth. Like, this is what's going on. Yes, she's our sister. Yes, she's pregnant. Yes, he be calling her baby all around the house. But no arrests are made. It was like, that was just it. Like, they interviewed him, nothing really happened. And on July 20th, 2017, 2 months after Alyssa and Steven's divorce was finalized, Katie and Steven get married in Maryland. Now, they were able to legally wed because, of course, they did not disclose their father-daughter relationship. Honey, they went in like they were not related and got married. They had an entire wedding ceremony with guests. Steven's parents were there. Katie's adoptive parents were also there. Her adoptive parents said that they felt like there was nothing that they could do but support Katie because she was, quote, happy and in love. Child. Little old Alyssa was the only somebody calling the damn police. Everybody else just let the shit go on. The two didn't even attempt to hide their relationship. After their wedding ceremony, Katie posted in a Instagram post that is still up on her page, but I'll insert for you right here so you don't have to go looking for it. It's a photo of her and Steven kissing, and the caption says, nothing fancy, just love. And then she got the little hashtags that say, just married, simple wedding, and then hashtag pregnancy. How about hashtag nasty? Now, on September 1st, 2017, Katie gives birth to her father's child, a son that they named Bennett. This is so sad because she is obviously a victim of this sick-ass man for the second time around. She and Steven moved to a little house in North Carolina, but unfortunately for them, their wedded bliss and new addition to their sick, twisted little family, it don't last that long because Alyssa was not letting up on having her ex-husband arrested. She felt as though he was just finishing up the abuse that he had started 20 years before. I feel the same, actually. Because granted, little Katie might have really believed and thought that she was in love. Girl, you were just a victim of your sick ass, twisted ass father. But anyway, back to the story. In late January of 2018, the police finally catch up with Katie and Steven, and they are arrested for incest and adultery. They're later released on bond, and the two are ordered to have no contact with each other whatsoever. Katie moves back in with her adoptive parent in New York. Steven's mother gets custody of their son Bennett, and he moves back to the city that he was living in with Katie when they got busted for their little nasty acts. On February 5th of 2018, the couple are reunited again for the first time in court. Steven's lawyer argued that Steven did not pressure Katie into any kind of relationship whatsoever. He did not force himself on Katie. She was a willing participant. Like, somebody need to look into this lawyer because obviously homeboy ain't right in the head himself. He stated that this was simply just a case of an 18-year-old girl who shows up on the doorstep of a 40-year-old man who's going through a difficult time with his wife. He said that they rightfully have a bond because they are biologically related, but they never knew each other before they had a sexual relationship, which kind of justifies the sexual relationship because, oh, they didn't know each other before. He said that his client then fell head over heels in love with her and that it was nothing that he could help. He was genuinely just in love, so much so that it outweighed the issue of them being biologically related. Somebody need to go drop a little eye on this lawyer, please, because homeboy is he a little sick. Child be in the courtroom like, look, Your Honor. I know he nasty and he's sick. He needs some help. We is guilty. I mean, we innocent. See, he would have had to fire me because I would have been like, he is guilty. I mean, he innocent. We would have had to just try for an insanity plea like everybody else does and see if that stuck. And that would have been my defense. Which is probably why I'm not anybody's lawyer, but whatever. Now, sometime between April 1st and April 10th, somebody talked some sense into Katie, and she decided that despite the no contact order, she was gonna reach out to Daddy Bay. Like, how awkward is that? She called him daddy. She really meant it. That's wild. But anyway, she decided that despite the no contact order, she was gonna reach out to him one last time to let him know it's over. I can't do this no more. I'm not gonna do this anymore. Matter of fact, it's a wrap and I'm out. She calls little Steven. She breaks up with him over the phone. And of course, he didn't take it well at all. But she let him know, like, look, my mind is made up. This is wrong and I'm done. The next day, on April 11th, 2018, Steven goes to his mother's house, who has his son Bennett that he has with his daughter. His son/grandson. Anyway, he goes, picks up Bennett. He tells his mother that he's going to take Bennett to see his mother in New York. Now, this is another time Mama should have been like, you know what, don't you have an order where you can't see that girl? Like, no, you shouldn't. But nope, she didn't get involved. She just said okay, packed up little Bennett a bag, and let him go off with his father. Steven takes Bennett back to his home. Trigger warning. Steven takes Bennett back to his home and he suffocates the baby with a pillow and places his body in the closet. Steven then hops in his car and he drives through the night from North Carolina to New York, where Katie is living with her adopted parents. Upon his arrival, he waits outside the house of Katie's adoptive parents. He watches as Katie gets into the car with her adoptive father, and the two leave the house together. He follows the two as they drive, and minutes later, while they were sitting at a stoplight, Steven approaches the vehicle and shoots Katie and her adoptive father, killing them both. He gets back into his vehicle and he flees, headed back to Dover. He calls his mother on the way. So he confesses to her what he had done. To Bennett, he advises her not to go to the home, but instead to call the police and have them go and retrieve his body instead. And he also confesses to her what he had just done to Katie and her adoptive father. She gets off the phone with him. She calls 911 immediately. She tells him everything. Once he makes it back to Dover, he takes the same gun that he used on Katie and her adoptive father, turns it on himself. He should have just started with himself, honestly. The police arrive and they find the body of Bennett. Of course, the police were called to the scene after the shooting occurred in New York because it happened in a public setting, and it did not take long for them to locate Steven. This story was so sad to me because obviously Katie was, poor Katie, she really believed that she was in love with her father, but homeboy was just a predator. She was definitely a victim. And I mean, poor Alyssa as well. She was also a victim of his as well. He preyed on her when she was just 15 years old online. He victimized her through all of this abuse and then did this to her child. Like, hopefully she can find peace in the fact that she never gave up on her child and that she really, like, from the beginning to the end, tried to do what was best, tried to protect her child from Steven. Like, I mean, at least that's the way I see it. It's so weird saying I hope you guys enjoyed today's video when it's so sad and disturbing. Like, really, honestly. But I hope you guys enjoyed the look. And thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe if you have not. Thank you to all of you people who on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, y'all share my posts, y'all share my content, y'all share my page, y'all encourage people to subscribe. Y'all have been asking to see Blue again. Here's my baby, smelling like corn chips and regret. Honey, he does not want to be facing the other way. I think he thinks I'm gonna drop his ass on the ground. Say hi to your aunties and uncles. You look so unimpressed. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. That won't be 3 weeks from now, I promise. Peace.